Hello, this is Dr. Dawn Michael, and welcome to my show. Today, we're going to be talking about how to harness your sexual energy. And I'm going to be kind of turning this on its side in a way. So, I'm going to talk about harnessing your sexual energy in a different way and how to utilize it to propel you forward in life and to make your life more positive, more enjoyable. And we all have this amazing energy inside of us, but oftentimes we don't use it in a positive way. So before I get started, I'm just going to share my experience this past week. I don't know if you saw my last video, but I had the opportunity to go out sailing, and out of the blue, I saw a breached humpback whale, and it gave us quite a show. It was probably, I don't know why they breach. I'm thinking that they do it because they get the barnacles off of their back. But this whale was jumping up out of the water. And when he or she came down, the splash you could hear from miles away and you can see it. And at first we didn't know what it was out in the open ocean. But we saw this splash, and then we heard this boom sound. And so when we sailed over to see it, it just was such an amazing sight. And I got some unbelievable video on it. And I just wanted to share it with my viewers. So if you haven't had a chance, it's just a 1.5-minute video out if you want to take a look at it. Okay. So I'm going to continue on to our topic. I just wanted to share that with you. And again, if you have any questions, please leave them in the chat. And please leave where you are from, which country, which state. And I always like to know the audience that is viewing my show. Okay. So let's get started. I'm going to read you a question that I was asked and kind of tie this into the topic. So I often get questions where people are having some type of sexual problem. And one question that is very common is, I have a problem with excessive masturbation. How can I stop? And so when I'm going to describe this to you, I'm also going to answer this question, but not in the way that you think. So let's get back to harnessing this sexual energy and how people do it. Now, some of the more obvious ways are when you see athletes who are going to go out for a big game. Oftentimes, they won't masturbate. They will keep this sexual energy because they have figured out a way to harness it and keep them more focused and use it to channel it into their game. You can also see this with people who maybe have a business meeting or who are interested in competing, not just in sports, maybe in something else, or have a job interview or whatever it is. They take this energy and they have learned how to channel it into something positive. Now, what's amazing with sexual energy is, if you think about it, it is the energy used to create life. And so it's one of the most powerful energies that we have. And oftentimes we just throw it away. And the reason we throw it away is because we haven't been taught how to utilize it in other ways. And so many times people get this urge, they get aroused, and they feel like they have to release this sexual energy. And so they do it through masturbation, or some people will find somebody to have sex with. And so they'll just let this energy go, and they don't often feel good afterwards. Not only will they feel tired, but many times they'll feel a sense of shame or a sense of guilt, or just that they feel depleted, not just from energy, but spiritually. They just are not getting anything back from it. And that's because they aren't. Now, think about when you have sex with somebody that you love. this is a completely different type of energy because the two of you are exchanging energy. And so you're getting this soul love energy back. You're giving it and you're getting it. And so this type of sexual energy not only feels good, and some people may feel tired afterwards, but they still feel fulfilled. They don't feel shame. They don't feel guilt. They actually have a sense of peace, a sense of calm, and a sense of connectedness. So that's one way, obviously, to channel your energy is if you have somebody that you love. And I would say people even have to think of that in the manner of not so much having it so often, but making it more meaningful. And so people can even work on that in their relationship with their spouse, where they're doing the quality more than the quantity if they think about this sexual energy being powerful, fulfilling, and also the two of you exchanging this energy. So that's very important. Now, if you don't have a spouse and you are on your own and you're not utilizing this sexual energy in a positive way, again, it can make you feel depleted and sad, and for some people, depressed, and they feel like they don't have any other way to release this. And I'm here to tell you that you do. We all have choices. So what you can start doing is realizing that you can focus this energy into many things. And a lot of times people can use this to be creative, because if you think about it, your sexual energy in some ways is a life force, and creativity is also a life force. You're creating something. So in the same instance, instead of you masturbating and releasing this energy, put it into something that you are creating, that can build, that can expand, and that is also generating this, and in some ways is also a part of a life force. So if you can think about it in that way, then you can start utilizing it in a positive way. So that's basically called channeling. And I'm going to give you a couple of ways to channel your energy. So people use it in meditation. So you can take that sexual energy and use it in meditation. You can use it in martial arts. This is not about retention. So sometimes people get this confused with, oh, I'm going to practice retention, or I'm not going to masturbate. And in many ways are looking at it from a negative thing, like it's something that's taken from their life. Oh, I can't masturbate. I can't release this. I'm punishing myself. I don't want you to look at it that way, because that is looking at it from a negative perspective. I want you to look at it in a positive perspective, that you have been given this energy and that you can use it to propel your life forward. You can use it to create something other than just releasing it and it going away. So if you can harness it and look at it in a positive perspective, then it won't be like it has control over you, but you feel like you have control over it. You have control over your life, and you're using it to do something positive instead of feeling like it's something negative. So let me get back to answering the question of, I have a problem with excessive masturbation, or I have a problem with a fetish, or I feel compelled to do this sexually. Think about how much time a person puts into that. So maybe they're going and flipping through videos. Maybe they're watching videos. Maybe they're thinking about it. Maybe they're doing it. And it's taking up so much of this life force inside of you spent on this one thing. Now, take that energy and to put it into something else that will be positive, something creative, something that you have manufactured yourself. And once you can start to look at it from that perspective, that energy will come back to you in other ways that are unexpected. And people have used this throughout their lives. This is no secret. People have harnessed their sexual energy to do great things in their life, and they don't look at it as a negative. So if you get caught in this idea that, it's I'm taking this from myself, or it's something in a negative way, then you're not going to look at it that way. You're going to look at it like, oh, I can't masturbate. Now what else can I do? And I have this energy. I don't know what to do with it. So I'm just going to go back to my same habit. And it's kind of this victim mentality, this helpless mentality that it's taken over your life. And that's not true. You allowed yourself to get stuck in this pattern. You have made that choice. And so you have to take the responsibility, and you have to take the first step to change your attitude, because it's all in your mind. I mean, think about that. Think about our thoughts. Our thoughts create action, right? And so if you're constantly thinking about it in a negative way, then you're going to react in a negative way, and you're going to feel victimized, and so on and so forth. But if you change that one thought and think, hey, you know what? I have this incredible energy that I am harnessing, and I'm going to put it into something positive in my life, something that is going to bring me joy, that is going to bring me happiness, that's going to make me feel not so alone. Because that's another thing when people are constantly caught up in this cycle of masturbation or some type of sexual fetish. They seem to identify with that. And the more that they identify with that, the more they feel alone, because they feel like no one else understands them, or no one's going through what they're going through. So that's kind of a victim mentality. So you have to get yourself out of that thought pattern and realize that you can use this energy for something good, for something positive. Now, let me get back to the relationship, because I talked about being single and how to utilize your energy that way. When you're in a relationship and you're married, oftentimes you will think about, when am I going to have sex? How often am I going to have sex? And it's more of the driving force of you want to release that sexual energy with your spouse. And for some people, that will get them in trouble over time, because they're not focusing on the connection, the intimacy, the quality. They're more focused on the quantity, how often and when they're going to have sex. And so the more that you think about that, the more you're putting that negative energy out there, and the more you're going to get that negative energy back. So you have to realize that your thoughts are very powerful, because let's say, for instance, you want to have sex with your spouse, but you don't know when you're going to have it. So you start to get a little pissy, you get a little bit irritable. Maybe you don't bring them their coffee, or I don't know, whatever couples do. That energy you're putting out there onto your spouse, do you think that they're going to want to have sex with you or want to be intimate with you when that's what you're projecting? No, you're going to get completely opposite of what you want. They're going to be less likely to want to be intimate with you. And this is something that happens often. And I will say it happens more so with men than women. So it's usually the man that is getting frustrated or irritable, and the wife that is maybe not wanting to have sex as often. And so you've set up this dynamic. But if you actually have this sexual energy and you think about it in a way that you want to be loving and intimate, and it's not just about a release, then the whole dynamic in your mind shifts. And so it's more of a positive thing that you're putting out. And you can even say it in a positive way, like, I want to have this loving, intimate connection with you. When would you like to have that with me? Rather than, I just want to have sex and I want to have it this often, and, so on and so forth. So keep that in mind when you're in a relationship, because that will change the whole dynamic of when you are going to have sex and how you can utilize this sexual energy to make your relationship better rather than add more tension to the relationship, because that does happen quite often. So I just wanted to bring you that information today on how to harness your sexual energy, and be mindful how powerful it is, and don't allow yourself to feel like you have to stick to this pattern that you've developed, that you're victimizing yourself. Really think about it in a different way and change that energy and try something new, and you will feel better. Many people that are able to control that realize that there's so many other things out there that are so important. And when you focus on what you don't have, oftentimes you have even less of what you don't have. All right, everyone. I hope that you have a fantastic day. And as you know, I believe everyone deserves to have a healthy sex life, and so do you.